Book summary by Teddy Bear's Storytime.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney was first published in 2007 and quickly became a cultural phenomenon, resonating with middle-grade readers worldwide. The book originated as an online comic strip on funbrain.com, where it gained immense popularity before being compiled into a book. Its unique format, a blend of comic strips and narrative prose, distinguishes it from traditional children's literature, making it particularly appealing to reluctant readers and those who enjoy visual storytelling. Set in the suburban world of middle school, the book captures the everyday trials and tribulations of a preteen boy named Greg Heffley. Kinney's portrayal of middle school life is both humorous and painfully relatable, drawing on universal experiences such as navigating friendships, dealing with family expectations, and struggling with self-image. The success of Diary of a Wimpy Kid led to numerous sequels, a feature film series, and a range of merchandise, solidifying its place in the pantheon of modern children's literature. The book's publication came at a time when there was a growing interest in graphic novels and hybrid formats in children's literature. Kinney's work stood out because it not only captured the attention of young readers but also offered a witty, often satirical, look at the social dynamics of middle school, making it appealing to adults as well. Characters: Greg Heffley, the protagonist and Wimpy Kid of the story. Greg is a middle school student who aspires to be popular but often finds himself at the bottom of the social ladder. Rollie Jefferson, Greg's best friend. Rollie is naive and kind-hearted, often serving as a foil to Greg's more cynical and self-centered nature. Roderick Heffley, Greg's older brother, who constantly torments Greg and represents the typical older sibling in a family dynamic. Susan Heffley, Greg's well-meaning but often clueless mother, who tries to instill good values in her children, sometimes with embarrassing results. Frank Heffley, Greg's father, who is somewhat out of touch with Greg's world but tries to guide him in his own way. Fregley, an oddball classmate who is socially awkward and often the subject of Greg's ridicule. Patty Farrell, Greg's nemesis at school, known for being bossy and a teacher's pet. Book summary. The Journal. The book begins with Greg Heffley introducing himself and explaining that this book is a journal, not a diary, a distinction he feels is important for his self-image. Greg reflects on the challenges of middle school and his desire to be popular. He is acutely aware of his position on the social hierarchy and is determined to improve it, though his efforts often backfire. The opening chapter sets the tone for the rest of the book, blending Greg's humorous observations with his self-centered worldview. Greg also introduces his best friend, Rollie, whom he sees as socially inferior but useful as a sidekick in his quest for popularity. The Cheese Touch. Greg recounts the legend of the Cheese Touch, a piece of moldy cheese on the school playground that has become a game of hot potato, where the person who touches it is shunned until they can pass it on to someone else. This chapter highlights Greg's fear of social ostracization and his efforts to avoid the cheese touch at all costs. The cheese touch serves as a metaphor for the arbitrary and often cruel nature of middle school social rules. Despite his best efforts to stay out of trouble, Greg's paranoia about the cheese touch underscores his insecurities and the absurd lengths to which he will go to maintain his social status. Halloween. Halloween presents Greg with an opportunity to show his bravery and impress his peers, but the night doesn't go as planned. Greg and Rollie go trick-or-treating together, hoping to score a lot of candy, but they are thwarted by older kids who spray them with a water-filled fire extinguisher. Greg's attempts to retaliate against the bullies backfire, leaving him humiliated. The chapter ends with Greg realizing that his efforts to prove himself often lead to more trouble, highlighting the gap between his aspirations and reality. The Halloween episode also reveals the dynamics of Greg and Rollie's friendship, with Rollie's naivety contrasting with Greg's cynical outlook. Rollie's big break. Rollie's popularity unexpectedly rises after he breaks his arm in a freak accident, drawing attention from classmates and sympathy from teachers. Greg, who has always seen himself as the leader in their friendship, is irritated by Rollie's newfound status. He attempts to capitalize on Rowley's injury by becoming his assistant, but this only makes Greg look worse. The chapter explores Greg's jealousy and his inability to be happy for his friend's success. It also delves into the nature of their friendship, which is more about Greg's need for validation than mutual respect. This episode marks a turning point in their relationship, as Greg's selfishness begins to strain their bond. The school play. Greg auditions for the school play, hoping it will be his ticket to popularity. However, things don't go as planned when he is cast as a tree, a role he finds humiliating. To make matters worse, Rowley is cast in a more prominent role, further increasing the tension between them. The play turns into a disaster when Greg's attempt to sabotage it backfires, resulting in more embarrassment. This chapter emphasizes Greg's tendency to overestimate his abilities and underestimate the consequences of his actions. It also highlights the theme of self-deception, as Greg continues to blame others for his failures rather than reflecting on his own behavior. The yearbook. As the school year draws to a close, Greg becomes obsessed with how he will be remembered in the yearbook. He schemes to get his picture in as many places as possible, but his plans are thwarted by various mishaps. In the end, Rowley is voted class clown, a title Greg coveted, which further strains their friendship. The chapter explores Greg's preoccupation with his image and how he perceives others' opinions as the ultimate measure of success. The yearbook symbolizes the permanence of middle school memories, and Greg's desperation to be remembered in a positive light reveals his deep-seated insecurities. The summer. The book concludes with Greg reflecting on the past school year and looking forward to summer. However, even as the school year ends, Greg's misadventures continue. He and Rowley have a falling out after Rowley discovers that Greg has been using him for his own gain. Greg spends the summer trying to mend their friendship, but his attempts are clumsy and insincere. The book ends with the status quo more or less restored, but with an underlying tension in Greg and Rowley's relationship. Greg's inability to change or learn from his mistakes suggests that his journey is far from over, setting the stage for future installments. Themes. Social hierarchy. The book explores the rigid social structure of middle school, where popularity is the ultimate goal, and those at the bottom of the hierarchy are often ridiculed or ignored. Greg's constant scheming to climb the social ladder underscores the importance placed on social status during adolescence. Friendship and loyalty. Greg and Rowley's friendship is central to the story, but it is fraught with issues of loyalty, jealousy, and manipulation. The book examines how friendships are tested by social pressures and personal ambitions. Self-image and identity. Greg is preoccupied with how others perceive him, and much of his behavior is driven by a desire to be seen as cool and popular. The book delves into the idea of self-image, particularly how it is shaped by external validation and the fear of being judged. Humor and embarrassment. The narrative is infused with humor, much of it stemming from Greg's embarrassing situations. The book uses humor to explore the universal experience of embarrassment, particularly during the awkward middle school years. Analysis. Character development. Greg is a flawed protagonist who is both relatable and frustrating. His selfishness and lack of self-awareness are central to the book's humor and themes. Rowley serves as a contrast to Greg, embodying innocence and genuine kindness, which Greg often takes advantage of. The secondary characters, like Roderick and Patty, highlight different aspects of Greg's personality and the social environment he navigates. Plot structure. The book's episodic structure mirrors the diary format, with each chapter focusing on a different event or theme in Greg's school year. The plot is driven by Greg's attempts to gain popularity and his subsequent failures, creating a cycle of humor and embarrassment. The book's conclusion leaves room for further development, with unresolved tensions hinting at future conflicts in the series. Setting and atmosphere. The suburban middle school setting is depicted in a way that is both specific and universal, making it relatable to readers from various backgrounds. The atmosphere is a mix of humor and tension, with Greg's internal monologue providing insight into his anxieties and aspirations. Symbolism. The cheese touch symbolizes the irrational fears and superstitions that often govern social interactions in middle school. The yearbook represents the desire for recognition and the fear of being forgotten, themes that are central to Greg's character. Conclusion. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, by Jeff Kinney, is a groundbreaking work in children's literature, blending humor, graphic storytelling, and relatable middle school experiences into a compelling narrative. Through the lens of Greg Heffley's Misadventures, the book explores the complexities of adolescence, from the pressures of social hierarchy to the challenges of friendship and self-identity. While Greg's journey is often marked by failure and embarrassment, it is precisely these flaws that make him a relatable and endearing character. The book's success lies in its ability to capture the essence of middle school life with honesty and humor, making it a timeless read for young audiences. The end. Love the book summary. Subscribe Teddy Bear's Storytime YouTube channel now. Like the video. Turn on the notifications. And leave your comments. See you in next book.